When we're talking about classic dowsing, again, we're talking about putting questions out into the universe, into the big mind, and receiving information back in the form of specific movements. Now, when I was first dowsing, and I don't know where I picked this up, but for me originally a no response came in the form of a counterclockwise circle, and a yes response was coming in the form of a clockwise circle. My teacher, however, suggested that we free these movements up because we want to use those movements for the active form of dowsing. And instead to program myself so that a horizontal movement like this would be my no response, and a vertical movement like this would become my yes response. So we're going to do this together now, and what I'm going to suggest you do is, if you have a pendulum or something that would work for a pendulum, is to go and get that right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to simply, in an alpha state, so I'm going to, again, encourage you to take a couple of deep breaths and just go into a relaxed state. And just imagine the state of total relaxation as if when you were enjoying a beautiful sunset. And just sort of allow that sunset to come up in your mind, and the feeling and the colors and the sounds and the sensation of that sunset just to come into your memory now. And as you're calming down, you can begin to operate more from that relaxed state of acceptance, not worried about, is this going to work for me, or how is this working, just appreciating the moment, appreciating the experience. And now with your pendulum, I'm going to invite you to take the pendulum and to move it in a back and forward motion like this in front of you. So actually you create the back and forward motion. And as you're doing this, I'd like you to out loud together with me, we're going to repeat, and we're going to program our minds in a very definite and relaxed manner that this is my no response. In other words, when I ask a question of my superconscious mind and the answer is no, it's going to come back to me in the form of a vertical movement. So again, we'll start together now, and I suggest that you say this out loud again as you're making these movements yourself. Ready? This is my yes. 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 And this is my yes. And in a similar manner, take again your pendulum and move it now in a horizontal movement. And of course this is going to be your no response. So in the same manner, we're going to program our minds to accept this movement as a no response. So go ahead and repeat with me out loud now. This is my no. 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 And this is my no. Okay? Now, I'm going to go back a little bit here, because one thing we also need to do, and we're going to test this in a moment, so hang in here, is we need to be sure that our spiritual guidance is here with us 100%. The notion of spirit guides is actually one that is rooted in most cultures throughout the world and in history, and it's the idea that we have around us in non-physical dimensions beings, if you like, that are here for our good, for our support. Many cultures have called these angels or guides or masters or whatever. It might even be members of your own family that have departed. And we have a strong history of ancestor worship around these ideas. Nevertheless, our spirit guides are beings that travel through us in time in order to support us in the spiritual dimensions. And the trouble is, though, if we're not aware of them or we're not calling on them, their support is somewhat limited. And also as being, beings that are still on their own path of development and healing, our spirit guides are not necessarily perfected beings. They're not necessarily ascended masters like Christ or Buddha. They might be actually more like you and I, just regular folks without a body. So one of the things we can do now, and I'm going to propose that we do this as a group clearing for anyone who's watching this at this time, is that we're going to do a clearing of all of our spirit guides now, of any and all aspects that are not 100% pure light. And you'll notice I'm doing this with a left spin. So again, I've asked my guidance system to go out and reach out to your guidance system and to simply help your spirit guides now release any and all energies in their being, in their field, that is creating any limitation in their ability to function 100% for you. And we're going to ask that any spirit guides out there now that are not compliant with this request be replaced now with spirit guides of 100% pure light. So this is maybe a bit of a fast forward into the advanced techniques of active dowsing, but what's actually going on here is that I started this spin in my conscious mind, a left spin because it's a removal, okay? Right spin is for bringing things in, left spin's for removal. And that this spin, however, I have turned over to my superconscious mind. I like to use the phrase putting in the clutch. My conscious mind obviously started the movement, but I have disengaged mentally now from the outcome. I have no attachment to how this is working, or even if it's going to work, or why it should or shouldn't work. I just ask. And then I'm no longer involved again in the outcome. And so the spin has kind of taken on a life of its own. It's happening now being mediated by my superconscious mind rather than my conscious mind, which is actively involved in the work here. So my conscious mind is kind of oblivious really to what's going on here, and I'm simply waiting for the spin to slow down naturally, which it will once the request is made. So we're just going to hang in here, and of course anybody observing this is apt to say, oh, you're doing that. I see your hand moving. And of course it's very typical for someone to say that. And I could never really think of a snappy answer, for that. My snappy answer, however, now is, yes, I am doing this, but it's not the me you think I am. Again, I've disengaged from the ego, I've disengaged from the conscious mind, from any attachment to, again, how or in what way this is working. So the device is slowing down now, the pendulum's slowing down. I'm going to ask the question, are all of our spirit guides, those watching this video now, 100% of the light and never been reprogrammed? I'm getting a yes. So again, pick up your pendulum and try and hold it just steady like this. Notice that I'm not using the entire length. If I use the entire length, it just takes longer to respond. So I save time by, getting it down to 2 or 3 inches. And I'm just holding it in my fingers like this. You may find it works better like this. I don't really think there's a right or a wrong way here, but you can experiment with that. But from a standing position, now that you've programmed yourself, simply say, show me yes. Show me yes. And you should get it may not be strong, it might be a little weak at first, but you should get a vertical line as you've programmed yourself. And in a similar manner, say, show me no. Show me no. And you should get a no. So with these two responses, you're now ready to access any kind of information that you can put in the form of a question. There's really nothing that you can't ask about. You may want to ask permission, though, if you have any doubt in your mind as to whether or not you're coming from the ego, from the small mind, or coming from your higher self, or from the big mind. You can just ask this question. You can just say, is this question coming from my ego, yes or no? You can also douse to clear yourself, again, of any motives that are not 100% of the light. And of course now your spirit guides are, so they're going to be helping you with this. And also I highly encourage you to look at the manual, Adventures in Dowsing, which covers some of the other basic clearings and upgrades that you can do for yourself. The main purpose of these upgrades and these preliminary steps are to ensure your confidence, to build your confidence, and also to ensure that you're tapped into this energy that is here for the healing of humanity. So what I'm referring to here, of course, is what Edgar Cayce predicted in the 1930s would show up in the year 1996. Edgar Cayce had passed away by that time, but in 1996, many of Raymond Grace's dowsing friends from around the world began to report a new energy had come to the planet, and that this energy seemed very responsive to our requests for healing of others, even at a distance. And it's this energy grid this universal or global energy grid that actually does most of the work when you go into the active phase of dowsing. So again, it's not you doing it, you're just like the telephone operator. You're just plugging in and making the connections. And the energy, the mind power, of course, behind that is what also carries that information forward. But the actual work is being done via the grid and through all the beings that are working this grid at this time. So, again, these are some of the ideas that are presented in our live classes as well as in the manuals, and I do thank you for tuning in to these. And if you, of course, would like to get in touch and have any questions, again, my name is Dave Cowan. I respond to info@bluesunenergetics.net, and I wish you all well. Namaste.